Alright guys, let's get busy talking about twin transfusion syndrome. If you haven't checked out our video on poly and oligohydramnios, you might want to see that before you tune into this one because I think it will provide a lot of great context. So in terms of twin transfusion syndrome, this is going to be a condition in which we have abnormal shunting of blood from one fetus to another. And this is going to happen in monochorionic diamniotic gestation. So let's talk about what that is, because that is a lot of interesting and crazy verbiage. So in terms of monochorionic, this means that we're going to have one single placenta that is shared by our two fetuses. And then diamniotic means that we're going to have two amniotic sacs. So each fetus is going to get their own amniotic sac that they get as their own little real estate. So we're basically sharing a placenta, but each fetus has its own amniotic sac. And this type of pregnancy is going to occur when we have our morula stage. So we have splitting before the morula, and we know that the morula is a 4-day structure. So when the zygote splits before this day 4 time point, we're going to get this type of pregnancy. So let's talk about what the pathophys here is that's causing twin transfusion syndrome. And essentially we have abnormal connections between the two fetuses sometime between week 16 and 25. So you can imagine that the placenta is full of a bunch of vasculature that's like moving in different directions, and essentially a lot of vasculature is going to come over to one fetus and maybe like only a little bit of vasculature is going to the other. So you can think of it as like a shunt. One fetus is getting a lot of blood and the other is getting a little blood. And we call this twin transfusion syndrome because it's almost as if one twin is giving all of its blood, almost like it's giving a transfusion to its other twin. And so essentially the pathophys here is unbalanced vasculature and placenta, leading to unbalanced blood supply between our fetuses. And we refer to the fetus that is giving blood to the other one as the donor fetus. And then the fetus that is getting a lot of excess blood we think of as the recipient fetus. So in our picture here, our recipient fetus is this one here. It's like so happy it's getting a lot of blood, and the donor fetus is over here and it's sad because it's not getting a lot of blood. So let's talk about the difference between the two. In terms of the donor fetus, we're going to expect things like hypovolemia and anemia and oligohydramnios. Let's talk about this, right? So hypovolemia makes sense, right? All of this person's fluid is going to this person over here. And then anemia also makes sense. All the blood is going over to this over here, so we can see that this fetus is quite pale. It doesn't have a really good blood supply, and so it's going to be anemic. And then finally, oligohydramnios makes sense, right? Because if we're not getting enough blood, that's going to reduce the amount of blood going to the kidneys. That's going to reduce urine output. And we know that the amniotic fluid is all due to urine output from the fetus, and so we expect to see oligohydramnios in our donor fetus. Now, this is going to lead to things like birth defects and death, right? Because we talked about the fact that oligohydramnios can lead to Potter syndrome in our oligohydramnios video, and so that's going to be a really severe birth defect to this donor fetus, as well as the fact that it's going to be constantly anemic and hypovolemic, so development is going to be really slow, and this fetus is really going to struggle. Now let's contrast that with our recipient fetus, which is going to experience hypervolemia, polycythemia, and polyhydramnios, and this makes complete sense, right? If we have all the blood shunting over to this fetus, it's going to be getting a lot of blood, so it's going to have polycythemia, and you can see that this fetus is like super red, demonstrating that it has a lot of blood, and it's going to have plenty of fluid, so this is going to be hypervolemia, and all of that fluid is going to present as increased cardiac output, so our kidneys are going to get a lot of blood supply, they're going to be making a lot of urine, and that's why they have polyhydramnios. They have all this extra amniotic fluid. Now the recipient fetus does really well in terms of outcomes. They have a favorable prognosis because they're getting everything they need. They get plenty of blood, plenty of oxygen, plenty of nutrients. They have plenty of amniotic fluid to swim around in. There's no concern for Potter sequence here, and so they do really well. So in terms of understanding this, it's just important to know that this is all due to a shunt, right? We have shunting from one fetus to the other, and then this helps you understand all the complications that can come from this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!